Hey guys, welcome back. This is Rachel with Mercy House Global for week 2 of Art with Rachel. At the beginning of this video, I went ahead and made a list of the items that you're going to need for this activity. So if you want to go ahead and pause and get those materials ready, that'd be great. But otherwise, we're going to get started. This was actually going to be a lesson that we were going to do at the art camp this year, and we thought it would be fun to kind of give you a sneak preview of one of the activities that we would be doing at the art camp when we get to reschedule and go back to Kenya. And so this is an activity, comes in varying sizes, and it can basically be tailored to any age with a little help, or you can make it a little bit more detailed for some of the older kids. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating, it's almost like a relief. It has tinfoil and Sharpies and some other materials, and so this is kind of what we're going to be working on. First, you're going to need a piece of cardboard. Now you're going to notice I got a bunch of random pieces of cardboard. I basically just took one of the kids' sketchbooks and just cut the cardboard. You can also, I know we've been shopping on Amazon, I have, and so you can even cut up the cardboard boxes there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a smaller one for this little activity. And what you're going to do is those Sharpies that we asked, you're going to go ahead and grab one of those, and you're going to just give some basic designs. Now you can use inspiration from a coloring book or any other things like we talked about in the first video, but you want to kind of keep it pretty simple because of what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to create a circle in the center with the sun, and then I'm just going to create some rays coming out from my sun. Very simple. Now you've got a couple options when it comes to what you're actually going to be doing on top of this. Now if you have string, that's probably the best because it can be moved the most. But if you happen to not have string, but you have pipe cleaners, then pipe cleaners can work also. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your liquid glue. Doesn't matter what brand, it doesn't matter if it's the purple, dry and clear, if you happen to have materials from your slime making kits, any of that would be perfectly fine. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to outline the area that you drew using the glue. Now, it's best to do one little area at a time, because if you don't, then you're probably going to start getting your fingers all messy and dirty by putting in the other areas. And you're going to take your string, and you're actually going to place your string on top of the areas that you have the glue. Now, I can't find some scissors right now, so I do have a pocket knife with a little pair of scissors, but a normal pair of scissors would work perfectly fine. And then you're going to basically just glue that down right on top of there. And you're going to do the same thing for all of the other lines that you drew. Now, if it goes off a little or you didn't get it perfectly on top of those lines, that is okay. So you're going to go ahead and continue on, and you're going to fill up the entire thing by placing the glue on the top of your lines and then covering that with your yarn. Now you can see that I'm on my last line. If it's easier for you to go ahead and pre-cut your line so you can measure it before you actually glue it down, feel free to go through and pre-cut all of your lines, or you can cut as you go. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my very last line here, and then you're going to go ahead and place that on there, and you want to make sure these guys are nice and tight so they're not going to come off. And then what we have to do is give it a few minutes to dry. Depending on what type of glue you're using, it should only take a couple minutes. All right, now once your glue is all dry, you're going to go ahead and you're going to use your heavy-duty tinfoil. Now, it gets really crinkly, and that's okay. I'm not super worried about that because you'll be able to smooth it out, but you can kind of smooth it out a little bit, kind of where you're going to be working, like this. You're going to get a nice big area like this, kind of smooth it out, and you're going to set your little guy right there on the top. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to do a really loose outline. You want to go about 1 inch around your actual object, and then what you're going to do is you're going to cut that out. I'm going to go ahead and just show you a different way. If you don't have scissors or you don't want to waste time with that, this does not have to be exact. We're not going to see these outlines, and so I'm just kind of just gently ripping out all of that is really going to go in the background anyways. And so here I have my piece of tinfoil. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my regular glue stick and I'm actually going to put the glue on the tinfoil. And what that's going to do is that's going to help our object stick to the back of the tinfoil so that our object doesn't move around. So I've got my glue right there on that tinfoil and I'm going to flip my dried image and put it right here. And then you're going to flip these little corners and tuck them in on the background. Because remember, we won't even see that. So you can make this nice and neat if you want, or you can kind of just fold it over because we're not going to see that. And then it's going to look like this on the front. And that is a lot different than the examples that I showed you. So this is where you're going to take your Q-tips and you're going to go in there and you're going to start finding your lines. And you want to use a Q-tip because if you used anything else, like if you used a pencil or something really sharp, you're going to tear your tinfoil. And you're also going to notice that if you didn't have heavy-duty tinfoil, this would be the area that you would notice it because your tinfoil might rip pretty easily. And so what you might want to consider doing if you didn't have the heavy-duty tinfoil at home is doubling up on your regular tinfoil. And so you're going to basically go in there and try to find where your lines were for your string. And you're going to start pressing them and then it's going to start showing and you're going to run alongside your string and you're going to do this a couple times. So you might just kind of go around the first time to try to find it like this. So now we found the basics and I'm kind of rough on these things. I've broken a few and so it's okay to have a couple Q-tips kind of lying around so that you can go back in and find it. And you're going to spend a little bit of time really perfecting exactly where you, how tightly you're going to do this and how clean you're going to do this. You can even take your Q-tip and run it along the side and smooth out any of those wrinkles that you might see in your tinfoil. So let's spend a couple minutes kind of working on that. Okay, so I've spent some time and I'm going to bring it up a little bit so you can kind of see. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to see those little lines and you can kind of smooth it out the best you can. But like we said in that first video, it doesn't have to be perfect and don't stress out if it's not. And then this is where you get to take that big bag of Sharpies that you got for Christmas and you've never really been able to use them. You're going to grab a couple of the different colors. And you're going to take the colors. You want to be really careful, especially if you got a nice crisp Sharpie. If you go in there too tight, you can rip the tinfoil. And so you want to be kind of careful. Don't poke into those corners too much. So you can kind of see I poked into my corner a little bit and it ripped it a little. So you have to be a little bit careful, especially when you're rubbing your Sharpie up against that corners where the string is. And you're going to basically just color in your shapes. And you want to leave that top ridge where the string is. You want to leave that, that color doesn't show up very well. You want to leave that top ridge silver because then it stands out and that's kind of like your outline and that's what helps separate your different shapes. So I'm going to continue on and show you my end product here in a second. All right, so here I am, and I'm about to finish up my last little section. However you decide to color it is totally up to you. You might realize that with some of the Sharpies you have to do a thin layer, and then you might have to go back over it and do another layer. And so that's okay. Sometimes the Sharpies, they don't want to get darker until they dry completely, and so you might just have to be patient, kind of let that little section dry, and then go back over it. Now, so that's basically how you do it. And you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. I've also seen it where, and I think I'm actually going to try this with my kiddos, is trying with a really small little section, even like half this size, and then you poke a little hole right here in the center, and then you basically make a necklace of some sort. So it's kind of like a pendant that would be hanging down, and then you can just weave some of your yarn that you used earlier on, you can weave it into the little hole and then create little necklaces. So kind of take this basic idea and run with it and see what you can come up with. We would love for you guys to share this. And again, if you ever have any questions about how to do this or anything else about the videos, or how this ties into the art camps in Kenya, we would love to answer them, so don't hesitate to reach out. Can't wait to see you guys again next week, and I hope you're enjoying these art camps.